Technology has never been more capable of flawlessly simulating reality, and yet the consumer market has never been more hostile to inauthentic simulations. Hey everyone, welcome to what I'm calling AI's second moment. I'm Erik Magelssen at Click2View, a B2B content agency here in Singapore. I run AI initiatives, and we do things on Creator Weekly every week. We put out a newsletter, try to cut through the noise and kind of figure out exactly what's happening in the world of AI. I'll walk you through, I've been putting together basically a state of the landscape briefing. Because right now in March 2026, we're living through what I'm calling AI's second moment. The divergence graph. What's the perception versus capability? The orange line, if you look at the orange line is the noise, mainstream panic and hype. It spiked when, this type of ideas like when ChatGPT launched, came back down, spiked again with every new model drop. It's volatile, it's reactive. Okay, the blue line is kind of what the actual AI agentic capability is right now. And look what happened. It stayed low and quiet for 2 years, and now it's going vertical. So we're really seeing some improvements in agentic capabilities, and people are really taking this serious. So the gap between these two lines, I'm calling that the crazy pill zone. It's where we are right now. The tools are really getting quite extraordinary, but the public conversation hasn't quite caught up yet. Most people are either panicking about the wrong things or a lot of people just say it's all hype, it's all hype. But if you're watching this channel, you're probably in the gap. The new work primitive, auto research, and the Carpathy loop. So we've got the 5-step loop on the screen. And this loop is what's replacing how knowledge work gets done. It comes from Andre Carpathy, formerly one of the OpenAI co-founders, and he's calling it auto research. Here's how it works. Step 1, the agent reads context. This could be your program file, previous results, specs, basically whatever knowledge you have too. Step 2, it proposes edits, targeted code modifications. Step 3, it runs the experiment. It's fast, it's reproducible, it's like a 5-minute test. And step 4, it scores a result against an objective benchmark. And then it commits the winners. Only successful iterations get pushed forward. And then it loops all night, hundreds of experiments while you sleep. The insight here is that the loop is the hero, not the model. We're automating the scientific method. And this isn't just for coding, this framework is for expanding into marketing, advertising, even biological research. GPT 5.4 breaks the automation bottleneck. It's the kind of the OS world milestone. GPT 5.4 hit 75% on the OS world benchmark. That officially surpasses human level performance at navigating dense legacy computer user interfaces. The previous version, GPT 5.2, scored 47%. Humans average around 72%. It also ships with 1 million token context window and a new tool search capability that saves up to 47% on token usage during agentic tasks. It means the bottleneck is no longer can the model do it, it's now do you trust it enough to let it do its thing, like we mentioned before. So this is a fundamentally different constraint, and it's a trust problem, not a technology problem. Pulsia, the ZHC, Zero Human Company, and the Tiny Team model. So what happens when agents can actually do the work at your company, marketing, whatever? Well, you get what people are calling the Zero Human Company, for better or worse. Zero Human Company. There's a platform called Pulsia, $49 a month. And so think of that. You can spin up a fully automated company. It basically can do the market research. It can build a website. It executes on daily marketing ops. Your operating agent, you get the sub-agents below it that are tasked with specific things. You don't want to overload those individual agents. One agent should have like one task. And then it's got these Carpathy loops to basically iterate and improve upon itself. So, is this going to replace Click2View or your own marketing agency or your own creative stuff? Absolutely not. But it tells you where the floor is heading. If a solo operator can do this for $49 a month, what does that mean for agencies that charge $50,000 for a campaign? You still need to consider what the actual outputs are, and to make something really authentic, it still needs that human in the loop. It needs that human creativity, that human spark to be something that's not just generic. The new creative operating system, linear versus circular production. So the old model was linear, pre-production, shoot, post-production, locked sequences, high cost of iteration. You make a decision in pre-pro, you're stuck with it through post. The new model is much more circular. Prompting, compositing, editing, and audio sync can all happen simultaneously. And you can iterate on it. It's sort of format agnostic. You can go from prompt to polished session, to polished output all in the same session. And here's another core insight. The character consistency is now, production infrastructure. The gap between imagination and basically publication has been erased. You can kind of make whatever you want. Characters are mostly consistent, and it's not hyperbole. 6 months ago, character consistency was the #1 blocker for AI filmmaking. Face drift, costume drift, environment drift. Now you can, lock that up. You don't have to just flip a coin and see if it's going to do that. And I've done that. I've done hundreds of iterations, on just one output. And yeah, even now it's still not perfect, but at least we can get those consistent characters there, a lot of the times. This is like in Higgsfield or the platforms where you can put in the assets. That being said, I think some do better than others. Like some of the work I've tried with VO 3.1, when I do ingredients, it's it can be very messy. Like the physics and everything is better. But if I really want to stick to, let's say, my Nano Banana Pro image, then I need to do a start and end frame. But sometimes the physics in between the start and end frame isn't completely worked out. Now, we've seen programs like Dance 2.0, which seem to be a lot better logically with going from your start frame to your end frame. But right now, there's still, I don't touch, Dance for actually any commercial use because it's such a sort of red box, right? Or it's around the copyright infringement. It's quite scary to kind of use it. The accountability squeeze, algorithmic filters, IP minefield, provenance mandate, right? So this is the serious regulatory stuff. What does it all mean? There are three forces squeezing creators and businesses simultaneously. There's the algorithmic filter. TikTok introduced the AIGC topic controls and invisible watermarking. YouTube piloted deepfake likeness detection for journalists and politicians. Platforms are actively penalizing synthetic content. The IP minefield, so you talked about Dance global launch, was paused, maybe indefinitely after Disney, Warner Brothers, Paramount, Netflix, and Sony all sent cease and desist letters. Disney called it a virtual smash and grab. That's not a footnote. That tells you the tool is now a legal risk for commercial creators, right? And like I said, that's why I personally stay away from Dance, but it's not that it can't create amazing stuff. And I'm sure that they will be working on the guardrails, so let's see what happens there. Will the model become worse when they can no longer prove that they're just not ripping off like Paramount and other studios? I don't know. Or we'll just continue to run in China, because right now it's running in China. If you're working in the space professionally, you need to know this. Ignorance is not a defense. So yes, we have legal stuff that we need to be concerned about and making sure where, if you're using AI, you're basically keeping up to date on it and you're updating. Here is the paradox and the heart of everything I've just shown you. On the left, we've got synthetic AI perfection, infinite supplies, zero marginal costs, close to flawless photorealism, multi-shot continuity, consumer reaction, fatigue, AI slop, deep mistrust. I've seen this myself on some AI projects I've created. I'll get a response on YouTube, oh, this is AI slop, but actually it's not. I've gone through hundreds, if not thousands of iterations, chosen very specific things, but because you can tell it's AI, it's just AI slop, right? I think you could be talking about other concerns like, oh, is the quality up to par? But that's not really AI slop, right? If someone puts together a bad video and it looks a bit amateurish, you don't call it AI slop. So I think people need to get off the whole AI slop bandwagon sometimes, because it could just be a quality thing, not necessarily slop. On the right, there's the verifiable human craft. Scarce, high effort, minor imperfections, deeply empathetic. Consumer reaction, it's highly trusted, right? If I'm doing a video on iPhone and it's me talking, for my company, right? These things that feel very authentic and real have higher engagement, or less distrust, right? It commands a massive premium. It's the differentiator in the saturated web. But it's interesting to see how it's all going to play out, right? But the better AI gets at faking reality, the more valuable real human work becomes. That's not intuitive, but the data is clear, and the algorithms will position for real, human-driven stuff. I think an important part here too is that if you're creating AI-generated videos and AI-generated content, you actually need to do some, unique editing, things like that. Whether you're like the face behind the acting and you overlay an AI person on yourself, or you're actually creating the music and you modify the music and you put it into like Adobe Premiere Pro and you're creating the edit with lots of multiple layers. This actually will give you copyright, power, right? Otherwise, you can't actually copyright the work that you've done. It's not your original IP. If you just create AI content and it's just straight out from the platform itself without you doing additional modification in some way, either it's your human performance or you're kind of taking it into Adobe Premiere Pro and creating edits and layers and all that type of stuff, you do not own the copyright. It's still the copyright, and anyone could steal it, they could modify it, they could clone it. So for us at Click to View, use creators, this is exactly the play. Human-led storytelling on camera, AI infrastructure in the back end. Technology has never been more capable of flawlessly simulating reality, right? And yet the consumer market has never been more hostile to inauthentic simulations. Here's a playbook for 2026. Do not compete with the machine on perfection. You will lose. AI is better at perfect than you are. But I think, of course, the people don't just want the perfect, right? 2, deploy AI as your invisible, high-efficiency infrastructure. Let it handle the operational load, the research, the localization, the scaling. That's where it shines. 3, aggressively lean into employee-generated content, documentary-style rawness, and verifiable human craft. That's where the premium is. And I really want you to sit on this and think about it is, in the second moment of AI, human messiness is your most irreplaceable commercial asset. That's the landscape as I see it. March 2026. If this was useful, please subscribe to Creator Weekly. I do this every week. Leave a comment with what you'd add or push back on. I'm genuinely curious. How are you guys using AI? What's working, what's not? Would love to hear about it. Thanks so much.